This is the panel presented by Sport Chek. I'm Jessica Kent with Jack Michaels and Bob Stauffer from the Oilers Radio Network. Guys, the team finally snapped their 4-game losing streak with a lot of help from the back end.
Well, yeah, 3 goals. I think it's only happened about 4 times where they've had 3 different defense goal scorers over the last 15 years or so. So that was great. I mean, there were a lot of things that happened in that game. I think you felt before going into the game that maybe Montreal had been playing with a little bit of house money. Neither of their 2 goaltenders have been playing particularly well. Niemi had an odd night, gave up a couple atrocious goals and then made some terrific saves. But the Oilers, I don't know how much consistency they'll get in terms of a push from the back end, but they certainly had it in that game.
Jess, what impressed me was the instant chemistry. I mean, they hadn't played together the entire season in terms of starting the game 5-on-5, and Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl seemingly picked right up where they left off. I mean, they were sensational, dynamic, creating scoring chances, and probably the 3 points that the 2 of them had were the least that they could have had. I mean, Leon Draisaitl theoretically could have had 5 goals, and 2 unbelievable saves by Niemi, 2 posts, and Connor McDavid, I think, had assists on 2 or 3 of those. So, I mean, it was a big night for both players. And I think ultimately, when you look around the league, and starting with the previous opponent, the Colorado Avalanche, is, look, there's a lot of elite-level talent that's all gathered on one line. Boston is carried by its top line. So I don't think there's necessarily a need, especially when you're trying to end a slide, to continue to play McDavid and Draisaitl on opposite lines. It's okay to play them together. It's okay to be top-heavy, if you will, at times. And it also, I think, will have a secondary byproduct, and that's Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I think he's more engaged and has his feet moving just a little bit more when he's at center ice position. I think he still identifies as a center, so I think it's a nice rotation the Oilers have at their disposal moving forward.
Well, just an overall great game we saw on Tuesday. Now, is this sustainable as we go on to take on the Pacific teams?
Well, 6 goals per game is not sustainable, but, you know, the Oilers have had a .655 winning percentage against the Pacific over the last 2 years. I mean, it was such a reversal of fortune, you know, compared to before. You know, they were so bad against the Pacific for all those years, those big heavy teams. 2 years ago they went 26-3. Last year they went 16-11-2. You know, what is that, 36-17-5 overall over the last 2 seasons. Put it this way, if they have a .655 winning percentage against the Pacific this year, they're going to make the playoffs. So we're going to find out right away here where they're at. Calgary, you can argue, has a loaded up front line as well, top line as well, with the addition of Lindholm, and he's obviously playing with Monahan and Goodrow. So this is going to be an interesting back-to-back. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be challenging. But one thing that Edmonton now has, Jess, in my opinion, that they haven't had before, is they've got 2 guys that I think that they have some confidence in between the pipes, and I think that'll help them in back-to-back situations.
Mikko Koskinen is, of course, the gentleman that Bob Stauffer is referring to, and he's 4-1 this year for the Oilers. And considering that Cam Talbot has lost 4 in a row, it'll be interesting in that first matchup in Calgary whether Mikko Koskinen, you know, gets another start, and then, you know, you come back with Talbot at home ice to maybe try to break his personal losing streak. I think Koskinen has established a certain degree of confidence within the coaching staff. While he's not the #1 goaltender, Cam Talbot most certainly still is. It's got to be a relief for a coaching staff knowing that the guy who's played the most games of any goaltender in the entire league the last 3 years finally has some help. I mean, the previous 2 years, the Oilers got 5 wins from their backup goaltenders. That's a heavy load. Now, Cam Talbot will tell you he plays better when he's playing a ton, and he wouldn't mind starting 73 games. But I think for the overall health of the hockey club, it's better that you can rely on a guy like Mikko Koskinen to give Talbot some much-needed rest. As far as the Pacific Division, I think in the next 3 weeks, we'll find out a ton about Edmonton's season. We're not yet at the quarter pole, but usually you can tell where the team is going. This year it's a little bit different because the Oilers haven't played a division game yet. 5 in a row against the Pacific, 8 of the next 9. I think we'll have a much better idea of where the Oilers are going to finish up at the end of the regular season following the end of this stretch where they don't play an Eastern Conference opponent until right before Christmas.
Well, we saw Tobias Rieder go out with an upper body injury on Tuesday. If he's out for a couple games, how detrimental is this to the lineup?
Well, I mean, he hasn't scored a goal yet, but I think that he's been a very effective top 9 player and a good penalty killer. To me, that looked like he kind of took a shot in the ribs, and that concerns me because that can be anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. If it's a rib issue, now if it's a pull or an oblique or something like that, then we're looking at 2 to 4 weeks. That's what happened with Ty Ratty. As of right now, I don't think we have any confirmation on it, but he'll be missed if he's out of lineup because he's been a very effective player, even though he hasn't scored a goal for the team.
And this is, again, where the Oilers' versatility down the middle comes into play, Jess, because, yes, it's a difficult injury to Toby Rieder, but the interesting thing is how many different combinations we could see over the next couple of weeks. For instance, we saw a little bit of Ryan Strome on the wing with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Does that give a guy like Cooper Marody a chance to go from out of the lineup into the lineup as a third-line center? Or, with J.J. Kara playing well, does he slide up as a third-line center, and Marody slides in for support on the wing with Kassian and Brodziak? This is where drafting and having a number of centers at your disposal gives Todd McLellan several different looks that he can go to if he doesn't like the feel of a certain rotation.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. I'm looking forward to another great game on Saturday as we have a Battle of Alberta.